Hi, this is today Friday the 13th?
Yes.
Okay, Friday the 13th. And this is Ron Stock's exhibit. I don't remember if it was exhibit A or exhibit 1. Maybe it was exhibit 1. But this is the inside of my fence. And there's little steps. And as you can see, the elevation is correct. See, if you can see that rose bush that survived the fire, that has been there for at least 25 years, maybe 50 years, maybe 75 years, I don't know. So Ron Stock and the city administrator of the city of Weed on March 21st, I believe, 2018, made a presentation to the Planning Commission of the City of Weed that I only saw that anyway where he claimed that I should have my fence permits revoked for under the law of whatever, dirty hands, unclean hands, bad faith, whatever he claimed. It was some dirty hands law, you can look it up. And the way that the city or says that a fence permit can be, or a permit can be revoked, is if there was good cause. So he's trying to make good cause for some reason against me, who had her house, her fence, and all so much destroyed in the Bulls Fire and the aftermath of the Bulls Fire. And the Planning Commission scolded me. One person said, you know, we gave you 4 years to finish your fence. Anyway, so this particular fence, this particular one is his Exhibit A. According to Ron Stock, this fence permit was applied for just 2 months after the Bulls Fire on November 15th, 2014. That was just 2 weeks after the Cal Recycle cleanup, EPA, whatever, came in with the big bulldozers and my basement's up there. I have a very odd-shaped, Z-shaped lot with a whole bunch of elevation issues even before the fire. I'm higher than my neighbor in some locations, actually lower than a neighbor in another location. And I have a very narrow lot. And so these people are trying to put some weird type of law. They've been creating things, setting the stage to be able to, what feels like to me, harm me. I can't see it any other way, but I would like to think not, but I would like to work with them, but now they won't let me work with them, I guess. Or I hired an engineer at no small price to work with them, but the building inspector isn't allowed to speak with them. In any event, there's a story that I wrote in brief about this portion of my fence. I have to go portion by portion by portion. And this is Ron Stock's Exhibit A. He claimed that, see, this is cedar. This is cedar. And there's cedar all the way down there until it isn't. And as I understand, as I recall, when I was doing actually the other part of this fence, and I didn't actually do this to the end, but I got the permit according to Ron Stock right away, but I don't remember getting this one right away. But a lot's happened in the Bulls Fire. A lot happened, a lot of things, and so, but as I understand it, the Paul Morton, the building inspector, says that you could do alternative materials than what you had in your permit. And so Exhibit A, or 1 and 2 of Ron Stock's, as I was trying to explain, or maybe this is Exhibit 2, I don't know, it was Exhibit 1 or 2, maybe across the way is Exhibit 1, but in any event, I'll show you that in a minute, but this So when I was told in November, a letter that was postdated November 27th, and I received sometime after that, November 27th, 2017, that I had 90 days to complete my fence if I was going to be allowed to, whatever it said, it didn't say grandfathered in, but, you know, eligible for amortization. I said, I don't want my fence amortized, and now they're passing some ordinance that says we can only use our fence for 10 years or something. I don't know. And it has to be a lawfully existent fence. So the way I see it, they're trying to strip me of the lawful existence of my fence. I don't know why they're doing this to me, actually. But in any event, so Bronstock claimed that I only had the permit for the cedar and not for the metal. Well, that was new information for me. Paul Morton said that it was okay to switch up the materials. And so the good portion of this fence is cedar. Now, eventually, when I get more money, I could cover it over with cedar. But on the other side, I painted it so anybody coming from Pine Street, because they said, oh, it's a health and safety issue. And you know, so any shininess, even though I like the shininess, I painted it with, you know, this Manzanita bark brown. And so the elevation is correct, the material is correct, the permit was correct, and it is finished. I finished it in that time frame. However, Paul Morton is not allowed to sign it off, this one, as I understand it, until I get the grade correct, or the elevation correct, or whatever, the ground. And that takes time and money. And so there's issues that I would like to resolve one by one if they tell me it's an issue. If they tell me that I need a permit for a retaining wall. If Ronstock agrees that I can get that, then I will. I do not believe that there's any reason that my fence permit that I secured on November 15th, 2015, according to Ronstock, less than 2 weeks after my basement and all, you know, everything was torn up on my property, less than 2 months after the September 14th, was it 14th or 15th? Bulls fire. Anyway, middle of September 2014, catastrophic loss, disaster, I'm still in shock, this and that. There's no reason that I can see that this fence permit one from November 15th, 2014 should be revoked. I didn't do this with maliciousness. I didn't do it with quote unquote dirty hands. I didn't have bad faith. I built this according to the law, according to my understanding, according to how Paul instructed me, within the time limit, even though there was not a time limit on the fence permits. But they came up with that time limit after they changed the law, manipulated the law. There's only 4 people who, after the Bulls fire, built with some metal, and it was lawful to do up until they changed the law and prohibited the use of metal as of, I think it became law in November of 2017. So in any event, you or someone can not like my fence. I have to finish painting the edges here. They can hate me or whatever, but it's to do with common sense, freedom, respect for the law, and not being like, you know, the South African communist Marxist type people who make it so that the farmers can do nothing else but be harmed or die. Anyway, I don't mean to get political, but this is rather intense. So I last time I did a video on my fence, we did it on the other side of here, and since then I've painted it more there. And we did that video when the day when Paul Morton had come. We were trying to solve one fence line after another, but I figured if we couldn't solve the one fence line or the one fence permit, there wouldn't be any sense in trying to solve them all. There's like 7 or 8 different with a Z shape. So this is the inside of this location here, I don't know what I'm asking. You know, the city planning commission had said, oh, we're not in the business of mercy. Well, they certainly were in the business of mercy when they were getting all these grants for the community center from the Bulls Fire, people who gave to help the Bulls Fire victims. I didn't qualify for all that for various reasons. I fell through the cracks of this and that. But I've been to all those meetings. I applied for over 20 plus grants for both myself and my two neighbors who didn't have insurance, so that we could get compactable fill to replace the soil that was lost in the Bulls Fire, that we could get materials helps for our fence, that we could perhaps get material to help us rebuild. But instead, all of the money, any one of those grants being given to us at any level, or someone helping us write the grants, all that, the remainder of the United Way of Northern California Bulls Fire Disaster Relief went to the community center. So, fine. And so I see all the community center getting truckload after truckload after truckload after truckload right now of compactable soil. And so I'm willing to do it privately. Okay, so I didn't get that, but they shouldn't be punishing me and mocking me and laughing at me and cruelly putting me in this position where they say, well, we gave you 4 years to build your fence. I did not have to apply for a fence permit. And it's just so painful. I don't want to speak any more on this. It's just too extremely hard and painful. And I ask for help of prayers, and if people can come forward who have some intelligence to talk sense into these people. There's some sneakiness, I believe. There's some manipulation, and there's some, perhaps a vendetta, I don't know. They claim that that isn't the case, but I don't see any other explanation. So right now I'm just talking about the fence permit that was secured on November 15th, 2014, according to Ron Stock in the 2000 in the recent Planning Commission hearing, which was to revoke my fence permit. That one more note is that I had requested to talk and to see what the solution was and to see what was that, and instead of doing that, I got this letter. Instead of helping me or listening to me or guiding me or allowing me to go to the City Planning Commission or City Council before then to remedy this, instead I get the letter from the 12th of February telling about their intent to revoke my fence permit and have the hearing of the Planning Commission, and then and then the City Council meeting that was last night, and thank goodness they did agree to table it. So what is that? And so I don't understand